Best scene from Touch, written by Scott Timmins. Interior, Rob Johnson's kitchen, night. Michelle is pouring some grapefruit juice into her cup as Rick walks in without her noticing. She puts the juice container down and walks to the fridge, opens the freezer, and pulls out a bottle of vodka.
Vodka girl, eh?
Michelle turns and sees him, smiles, and turns back to the bottle, opens it.
At Rob's house? Yeah. His family only serves the best.
She starts pouring vodka into her cup. A lot of vodka. Rick watches, amused.
Grey Goose gets me every time. Usually it's bankers at everyone else's house.
She finally finishes pouring.
Would you like some grapefruit juice with your bottle?
Michelle puts the bottle back in the freezer, turns to him, smiling.
Very observant of me tonight, Rick.
Rick looks a little off guard.
What do you mean?
You've been checking me out all night.
Rick smiles.
Have I?
Michelle chuckles.
Sorry for being so blatant. I guess I have to work on my staring technique.
I thought I was at an Alabama mall and you were Roy Moore stalking me.
Michelle smiles, takes a long gulp from her glass while Rick gives her a blank stare, not knowing the reference.
Not political. Duly noted.
Are you sure you should be drinking like that?
Don't guys like you want girls drunk?
I don't operate that way, so no. I'm asking simply because you're a pastor's daughter.
Meaning?
Won't you burn in hell or at least get struck by lightning?
Living is hell, Rick. Haven't been lucky enough to be struck yet. And I've been caught before, and yet, I'm still here.
An antisocial, rebellious, religious girl with killer legs gone bad. If this is hell, I'm signing up.
They both laugh. Michelle slowly walks past him, out of the kitchen and into the large living room where things have quieted down and lots of people have left. Rick follows behind her. Michelle turns, faces him, and chugs her drink to Rick's astonishment. Michelle smiles proudly when she's done and wobbles a bit.
You okay?
If the room stops spinning, I'll be fine.
Rick grabs her cup and sits it on a table, then takes her hand and leads her to an empty love seat where she sits, him sitting next to her.
Thanks.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Rick smiles nervously.
Why drink so much tonight?
Why not?
They sit there, facing each other closely.
Why?
Why what?
Why me? Why tonight?
Because I like you?
Rick, we've been going to school together since first grade. We're seniors. It took you 12 years for you to like me?
Rick looks uncomfortable.
Or am I the only remaining single here you haven't been with?
What do you mean by that? I think you're confusing me with Rob.
Michelle tilts her head, not believing.
Truth?
Always.
I've always liked you, Michelle. I guess I've always been
Then what?
intimidated.
Michelle looks shocked.
Intimidated? By little old me?
Well, first, your beauty.
Rick starts to turn red. Michelle looks at him at first like he's BSing her, then sees him blush, knowing he's telling the truth.
Second, as the years have gone by, you have become rather antisocial, quiet.
Michelle turns her head down.
And the whole pastor's daughter thing, I guess I've been afraid of pissing off your dad and God.
Rick laughs. Michelle looks back at him with a serious expression on her face.
Thank you for being honest. Really.
She smiles warmly at him and he returns the smile. Then her face grows serious again.
But you have nothing to fear with God because he doesn't exist.
Rick laughs, sees she's serious, cuts off the laugh, then backs away from her.
Why'd you back up?
I don't want to get hit with that lightning bolt that's about to hit you.
He searches Michelle's face for a smile that never comes.
And regarding my dad, there's nothing to fear. He has little meaning on my life.
Rick looks at her expression and knows this is a sore point. He reaches into his pocket, pulls out a pack of cigarettes.
Step outside for some fresh air and smoke in our lungs.
Michelle grabs the pack from him, turns it to read the warning label.
Good. This pack causes lung and heart disease. I like this pack.
She stands up, wobbling a bit, and walks to the patio door with Rick's cigarettes in her hand. Exterior patio night later. Michelle pulls 2 cigarettes from Rick's pack and holds out her hand. Rick looks at her, then realizes she needs his lighter. He pulls it from his pack, hands it to her. She places both cigs in her mouth, lights them with hands that are shaking a bit, which he notices when she hands him one.
Thank you.
Rick nods his head as they smoke.
What time is it?
She's nodding toward his left hand. He brings his wrist up and looks at his watch.
It shall be 11:45. Why? What time do you have to be home?
12.
Can I drive you home?
How much have you had to drink?
I'm fine.
Seriously, Rick. How much have you had to drink?
I guess about 3 beers.
Michelle shakes her head.
Promise me. If we have an accident, you only kill us. No one else.
Rick laughs out loud. Michelle stands seriously.
Promise me.
He sees her seriousness.
Deal.
Michelle finishes her cig and tosses the butt.
Let's go. And if I'm late, oh well.
She smiles and walks past Rick, whose smile is huge. Interior Rick's car night. Michelle and Rick are parked on a dark, empty street kissing. Rick's left hand slowly travels down Michelle's neck until it finds her right breast. He starts to squeeze it, but Michelle brings her hand up to stop him. While still kissing passionately, Rick attempts to unbutton Michelle's red top, and again she stops him. She stops kissing.
I'm sorry, I'm not ready for that.
Rick slightly smiles back at her and then leans in and starts kissing her even more passionately. His left hand drops to Michelle's right thigh, his fingers slowly working up between her legs. Irritated, Michelle stops kissing him and pushes his hand off her.
Jesus Christ, Rick, if I'm not ready to be felt up, I'm not ready to be fingered.
Rick backs off, frustrated. Michelle is breathing heavy with anger, disappointment.
Is that the only reason why you came on to me tonight? To get lucky?
Rick can see how upset she is, moves off of her, and back into his seat fully.
I'm sorry, it's the alcohol.
Right. There's always a reason for men to act like passive-aggressive assholes.
Michelle reaches into Rick's shirt pocket and takes his pack of cigarettes, startling Rick. He quickly gives her his lighter from his pants pocket. Michelle places a cigarette into her mouth, brings the lighter to it. Rick can see her hand is trembling.
Why should you be any different?
She lights her cigarette, hands the lighter back to him, not even looking at him anymore. Michelle takes a long drag and then exhales the smoke. She looks at the front windshield, hand shaking the cigarette, voice quivering, her stare blank.
What do cattle ranchers do with their steer?
Rick's face shows confusion.
They brand it.
Before Rick can act, Michelle lifts her skirt up, exposing her left thigh, and brings the lit end of her cigarette and puts it out on her left thigh.
Fuck, what are you doing?
He reaches and grabs the cigarette from her trembling hand and throws it out his window. Michelle's eyes are filled with tears as she sits, her whole body shivering. Rick reaches across her and opens his glove compartment and pulls out some napkins, then turns to reach for something on the back driver's side floor. It's a water bottle. He quickly opens it and pours some on a bunch of napkins and starts dabbing Michelle's wounded thigh, which is now blistering.
Michelle, why did you do that?
Michelle sits quietly, a single tear coming down her face. Rick turns his attention back to her thigh.
I'm really sorry, I didn't mean to upset you.
Rick's voice matches his shame and guilt.
I'm an asshole.
Michelle sits, blindly staring straight ahead. Without looking, she reaches a hand down to Rick's on her thigh with the wet napkin. Touching his hand snaps her out of her depressed trance. She turns to look at him as he removes his hand off the napkin.
It's okay, Rick.
Holding the napkin in her hand placed on the burn, she turns to him, her tears drying up.
Can you take me home now?
Rick nods yes and turns on the car. Interior Rick's car, later. Rick's car pulls up in front of the Barton house, which is located next to the Lutheran church.
You alright?
Michelle nods yes, not looking at him, looking straight ahead.
Not to make anything worse tonight, but it's 12:30. Are you gonna get in trouble?
The front porch light turns on as soon as the words escape his mouth.
Shit.
Michelle turns her head towards the porch and can see her dad's silhouette through the front door. She wipes her face with the napkin.
It doesn't matter.
She lowers her head to look at the blister on her thigh, speaks very low, almost to herself.
Nothing's gonna matter after tonight.
What'd you say?
Michelle catches herself, turns to Rick, gives him a fake smile.
Nothing.
Their eyes connect. What Rick sees in her eyes troubles him.
Michelle? Are you really okay?
Again, Michelle gives him a fake smile that can't hide her sadness.
I can tell your dad you being late is...
Rick, please stop. Everything's gonna be fine now.
Another tear comes down her cheek. Rick looks very worried. Michelle pulls down her skirt, causing her to grimace. She reaches for the car door handle, opens it. She turns to Rick.
Bye.
She exits the car.
See you Monday?
With a fake smile on her face, she turns away and starts towards the figure of her dad at the front door.